spiritual discussion program. I'm Saad in southeast London, and joining me as usual is Gregory. Gregory, ah, he was there. I think he's gone out. Come, I'll just get him back. Hello, Gregory, are you there?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good. We just dropped you for a second. So welcome, Gregory. Ah, there's a bit of background again. Okay, welcome, Gregory. Um, I'll just say I'm in southeast London, like I say, and it's getting warmer now. I think I just checked it, so it got to 9 degrees here in London. And it's, I would say today, trying to think how it was. It seemed, yeah, I still felt cold, but yeah, no, I think it was overcast as well. Um, I think you're on mute, Gregory.
Just like you have in London, so there's no
Same as
difference.
London. Okay, good. So, welcome, listeners. As I said, this is a spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the GRAIL message by Abrushin. And we always have a new topic for discussion every week. So, the topic for tonight is, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? Do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 004479396195. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. I'm going to begin with, what is the GRAIL message? The GRAIL message, in the light of truth by Abrushin, is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain the basic elements as a helping, for through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The GRAIL message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the GRAIL message, Abrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will you be able to understand the GRAIL message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the GRAIL message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic we are discussing tonight is, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? Do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Gregory, as you know, I like to look in the dictionary for the meaning of the words in our topic. And the first key word is evidence. So I did look that up in the dictionary, and it says the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. And so I would like, I'm going to repeat that, evidence, the meaning of evidence in the dictionary. The available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. Is that a good definition there, Gregory?
You said available body of facts, whether a belief is true or false or something of that nature. Did they mention the context in which the body of facts are true or false?
No, it's just a general statement, I think.
Then such statements are not consistent with themselves.
Okay.
There must be a context.
Right. Okay. So what context are you talking about, Gregory, there?
Well, here in this discussion, we are talking about the context of nature or of creation. Even within the context of nature of creation or of life, like the statement mentions, there must be limitations. So these contexts must be observed before one can even talk of evidence.
Right. Yeah. I mean, sure, for sure, context is always necessary and important. But now you have put it out there. So we are looking at here, in this case, at the moment, we are looking at nature and creation as the context. Okay, so let's continue from that point. So what I will say, so we have to look for evidence within nature and creation. That's what you're saying. Am I right, Gregory?
Yes, because since that's the context we are considering.
Right, okay. Actually, if we continue with the title, I'm going to repeat the topic tonight. The topic is, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? So if you go down further there, it says discover the truths of life. What about the context of the truths of life? Let's say life even.
Well, I mean, you only need to calmly look at what the sentence is referring to. truth of life. So life in nature, in creation, or where? So there is a context. That context, in this case, which is the domain that is of life. So what is now being referred to is evidence within that context, not outside of it.
Sorry, the last bit I missed. Not what? I didn't miss the last few words you said.
Evidence within the context of life
Yes.
and not outside of it. That
Okay.
life
Yes.
which manifests in nature or in creation.
Right. Very good. So that's really getting, how can I say, defining this more clearly, what we are going to be looking at. So thank you for that. Now, I'm going to continue with my looking in the dictionary with the meaning of this topic. So the next word I have is truth. So in the dictionary, it says truth is the quality or state of being true. Or let's say another way they put it is that which is true or in accordance with fact or reality. So we're trying to, what do you say on that definition, Gregory?
Well, in the last parts of the definition you mentioned, which is to referring to the facts, that again describes, all right, you cannot be talking about truth and then you say something being true. There must, as usual, be a framework. Like we just stressed that in the context of life, you yourself have limited it to nature. So in nature, there must be some unchangeable framework, all right, for all activities. It is that unchangeable framework that we are to refer to.
Right. Sorry, Gregory, there's just one word I didn't hear properly. You said unchangeable word? I didn't quite hear that one word after unchangeable.
Unchangeable framework.
Framework. Okay. Yes. Okay. And in this dictionary meaning of the truth, it also says the truth. The meaning of truth says that which is true, or in accordance with fact or reality. So there's a word there, reality. Now, again, we're talking about framework and context. So, what is reality? Is that, yeah? How would we define reality?
Very simply, it is the manifestation of an activity within that framework. That is what is referred to as reality. Otherwise, it is not reality.
Right. So, thank you for that, because although we seem to be taking a long time to look into this topic, in the let's say defining the topic, what we're going to look at, but it's very important to have this accurate definition so that we are all talking on the same page, as they say, and people will have different ideas of certain words having different meanings, say, and it's really important that we know that this is what we are discussing about. So thank you again, Gregory, for these answers. Now, Gregory, as human beings, we seem to have this urge within us to, we have questions in our life, and there's an urge to investigate. And so, like we said, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? I'm trying to understand. So why is that urge there, Gregory?
Why is there the urge to investigate?
Yes, yes.
That urge to investigate must be deep within the personality. For if it is not there to investigate further, then that person is not what one refers to as a human personality. Because motion, motion is a law in nature, in creation, and in motion, the need is there to investigate. After all, investigation is only motion, one in motion to gather more facts or to experience.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory. I realized when you look at nature, yes, we human beings, are curious creatures or want to know things. Also, the other creatures in nature also are like that. They also want to explore and, discover things. You see that, when you see human beings, let's say, going into the oceans and looking at whales or dolphins or wherever, those animals, if I can prefer to the sea animals, if I can call it that way, they want to check us out. And so it's common in nature, basically, to explore.
Well, one would say only those creatures. Are you there? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I will. Thank you. Okay, then. Thank you. Hi. Apologies, Gregory. Somebody just disturbed me and I just couldn't talk to you. So apologies for that. Can you just say it again in summary what you said there, Gregory?
Please, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, the question was about it seems to be in our nature, not only as human beings but also in other creatures, to investigate. So is it something you could say part of being human?
Of course, only those creatures that have in them that particular inclination to investigate, those creatures are the ones that are conscious, or the ones in which the need to develop consciousness is there. Only those ones will carry out investigations. You do not expect a stone or a book to carry out investigations. But those that have that innate tendency for consciousness or awareness, only those ones are capable of investigating.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that answer, Gregory. Now, I guess the next thing to ask is, how do we investigate? We have in this modern world science, and that's the whole theme of this topic tonight: is do we need evidence to discover the truth of life? So, we have science which does the research and tests, and then to prove that this what are the characteristics of whatever it is they're investigating, and what is what is the I'm trying to think of an example of something that we would investigate. let's say, Gregory, there's when the scientists are, this is probably a big one, but when they're investigating the beginning of the universe and they're trying to find the origin, how we came here, or how the whole universe started, let's say. So what I want to ask is science a way to investigate, to find about the sources of life?
You yourself must ask, what does science do when it says it does investigation? Basically, science collates data, and in doing that, it builds up a model. From this model, is able to compare results that abound in nature. And science only works with that which one may refer to as the intellect. In this type of modeling, which is done in science, because that's what science is, it uses the perceptions available, the 5 perceptions available. That means the sensory organs. It uses that to build up its model, builds up the model on what already exists. So it uses what is available to build up models, to draw inferences from it, to draw conclusions, and to say, okay, these are the possible outcomes. That is what science does. Therefore, if the models that it has built does not agree with the facts it has collected, that model is thrown away and another model is, investigated. So that is a way of investigating, and that is an intellectual way of investigating.
Thank you for that answer, Gregory. Somehow, when you were giving that answer, it sounds as if science doesn't have it obviously doesn't have a perfect system of, it's not perfect in its investigating. It almost seems like a trial and error. You look at this and then you see if it works, if it doesn't, or it makes sense. If it doesn't, you change and you try something different. So it seems, I don't want to call it haphazard, but it's like iterative maybe. I don't quite know the best word for it. But somehow it is not satisfactory, Gregory. I'm getting the impression science doesn't give a full satisfactory answers to
It
the question.
cannot give you complete answers because science itself has not got the capability of providing complete answers. That is how it is. It is a piecework. Like we said, there are modeling. You put up a model, like you do a modeling in the case of where you have all these hurricanes. So the US, they have their models, Europe have their models, the Far East have their own models of hurricane, and they keep refining it until they get as near as possible. But it is not complete, and it can never be complete because science only works with the limitations. It works with what it has found here on earth.
Right. Thank you for that answer again, Gregory. I think we're getting somewhere there now. It has these limitations, science has limitations. It just reminds me of the word we started with, context, the framework. You know, we said the framework in what we are discussing tonight is about nature and creation, you know? That's where the life we are talking about is operating, you can say. And if science is looking at life, but it's still looking at it in a limited way. No, so let me just ask this one, Gregory. Does science, I mean, science does look at nature, so that context is there. So what is the limitation in science? You said it's the intellect, but what is actually limiting that?
Science build models. Models have their basis in algorithms. Algorithms are not sufficient to describe reality. And therein lies the limitation. Because
Right.
you build all sort of models. Now, I can give you an example. Where are the thoughts? The human personality is a reality. In body, you can perceive. Now, what about the human thoughts? What
Sorry, Gregory.
models?
Just can I stop you 1 second? Somehow, I'm hearing every second word from you when you're speaking, rather than every word clearly, and I'm missing it. What you're saying? So I don't know if the listeners are hearing the same way. So if you can just recap again about just the last few things you were saying there.
Okay, I will. Science is able to build modeling, to build a model. It's like you have science speaking a language. Science trying to create a picture. Every picture is a pointer. Every picture is a pointer to some other of a greater reality. The models that science has built are limited. For example, science is able to hold on to deeds, physical deeds. But has science, for now, been able to hold on to your thoughts and model your thoughts?
No. So yes, I can see that limitation there. Science is not able to, like you say, model our thoughts or detect our thoughts.
Not only
So
that,
yes.
it is unable to model one's intuitions. Although many a person can use their intuition, many a person can use their thoughts, but science is unable to do a modeling for now. For it is like with like. Science work with that which is physically perceptible. That means within the five senses. Anything whose range is above that which is physically perceptible, science does not go there, such as thoughts, such as intuition.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. It really, clarifies this subject we're discussing tonight, and again lays out the context very, in a clear manner. So we'll continue our discussion in a moment. I just want to tell the listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the GRAIL message by Abdrushman. And if you are interested in knowing more about the GRAIL message or want to get a copy of the GRAIL message, you can go to this website, which is www.grail.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, GRAIL, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is, do we need to discover of life? Do we need evidence to discover the truth of life? You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments by contacting us on our YouTube number, which is 079 39 641 95. You can call, text, WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 95. You can call, text, WhatsApp. Can you just put yourself on mute while I'm speaking? I know there's an echo going on. I'm not sure where it's exactly coming. So yeah, that's good. It's better now. So, and we are broadcasting this show on Bless Radio. And you can listen to Bless Radio on Bless Radio 1, #1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, #1 again, space live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the #1 again, space GRAIL message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? And of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that is ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the #1 again. Now, Gregory, we talked about science and, looking for evidence through science, but we really found out it's not a complete way, let's say satisfactory way to reach a full answers, let's put it like that. And that's because it doesn't operate, it works with the 5 senses, but it doesn't, and there's other, let's say, parts it doesn't reach, as they say. So, and you mentioned thoughts and you mentioned intuition, that world as well. Now, before I pursue looking at that, I was thinking, when we talk about truths of life, let's say there are beliefs or spiritual faiths, which through books or through being, brought up, People are brought up in, some people into religion and so on, and they are, you could say, taught these beliefs. For example, life after death. And yeah, let's just look at one thing. And again, we don't really have, you could say, scientific evidence for this, and yet, and even that, and then it's taught in these beliefs, as I say. So let me ask Gregory, can there be evidence for this life after death? Is because otherwise we don't know it's true.
Again, thanks for this. The framework which many a teaching has brought about, that framework has been self-inconsistent in many parts. There is the talk or discussions of life after death, which, strictly speaking, when examined very carefully, cannot make any sense, for they themselves are not clear of what life is. Neither are they clear about what death is. And yet, there's the talk of life after death. In their current life, in quotes, what do they understand by life? That which has the capability of being conscious. When someone is born here on earth, is the tool, which is the physical body, is that the only thing that has control on the behavior of the physical body? What is it that animates the physical body? If subsequently the framework of their teachings, which they call beliefs of faith, if that framework has already established that what is perceptible through the five senses on earth is only the physical body, and there is another thing which is not perceptible using the physical five senses, and that in itself is of spirit. That in itself, which is not accessible to the five senses, that in itself is of spirit, through which, or the origin of which, one's intuition have arisen. Just as one's hands, or just as the five senses are not perceptible to our thoughts, so also our thoughts are not perceptible to the intuition. However, one's intuition has an impression on our thoughts, just as our thoughts have an impression on our physical activities. Therefore, when one is born, that which activates the body is not the physical body, but that which hovers above it, which is non-physical. Therefore, when there is a transition, which is referred to as death, that which is non-physical, which activated the physical body, has only disengaged, gone its way. It has always been there. It is of energy. It is of energy which is capable of consciousness. And that is why science itself has its limitations, is unable to use the physical measurements, the scales and the scalpels, to measure the properties of that which is not of the same species. So when many talk about life after death, they themselves have not considered that which is alive. For if they had, such expressions will change.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for that answer. It really opens our minds, I will say, uh, to, I was virtually going to say another dimension, but I just want to call it life, an aspect of life, let's say, that we maybe are not even thinking about or aware of, which is spiritual life, real life, and the real human being. You know, we think of life, which is the life on the earth, and then we are told, as I said in the question, in these teachings, beliefs, that there is life after death. Life after earthly death, of course, is what they're referring to. And but then you said already that we exist before that, even the earth. I mean, we existed before this birth. So, as I said, people probably haven't considered that's what we are as a human being, a personality.
Well, may I comment briefly here?
Yes, yes.
In the reflections in science, many have come to the realization or to the recognition that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but can change from one form to another. That is accepted as a fact. Therefore, if energy cannot be created, it only means it's already existed. Since it already existed, it must exist in a particular species or as a species or in a particular domain. So these are only recognitions in science. And when energy is mentioned as compared to, or when energy is united with that which is referred to as a particle in the sense that which is perceptible to the senses of man, the five senses, in such a unity, in such a union, there exists that which is referred to as the uncertainty. an uncertainty which has arisen in their calculations. These things are facts. So, because there exists this uncertainty, that means the lack of completeness. One can already see that in the modeling which science has come to, it is not complete, therefore it is not perfect. All one has stressed here are facts which are well known.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. As you said, energy, I think most people do know that energy is not neither created nor destroyed, and it can be transformed. And when you correspond it with us as human beings, you can say, oh, yes, so we could definitely be existing already before the Earth, or before our Earth life, let's say, because we are energies also now, or conscious energy, if you had to define it like that. So I want to go another aspect there, Gregory, with science and you could say spiritual beliefs, where let's say science says there has been an evolution and man came through evolution. And then, let's say, the certain religious belief, no, we have been created, we are not evolved, let's say, from animals. So what's the situation with that? What's the reality there?
Again, thanks for raising these questions. In its investigation, or in scientific investigation, there is the facts which they themselves have found, that facts of physical evolution in which you have a group of cells that have come together and in uniting and forming alliances, forming bigger molecules and forming all sorts of things until you have first a plant and it keeps going, subsequently an animal, and subsequently you have of the highest possible animals, the human body, having come through that chain. So it has been a chain of development, of build-up of smaller molecules or smaller cells until this is what we have. That is a fact in the physical sense because it can easily be traced. But that which makes use of the physical body is not in itself physical. It is non-physical. And that particular entity, which is of spirit, started its journey as an unconscious spirit gem. So it too needed to develop. It is that development in time that is referred to as evolution. So you have on the earthly gross material, there is that evolution. On the non-earthly, or one may be specific, from the spiritual side, there is also the evolution of the spirit germ, starting as a germ and growing to develop the capacities or the capabilities within it until you have what one may refer to as a full-fledged human spirit that has the form, that is able to take on the form that you and I are able to recognize. So on two fronts, on the gross material physical, there is evolution. On the spiritual, there is evolution. However, evolution only proceeds from a point, from what already exists and not what does not exist.
Thank you very much again, Gregory, for your answer. I just want to clarify one sort of your answer. So, as you said, there were two developments going on. This development in the physical world of the, you could say, plants or cells coming together and then forming plants, animals, and then humans, over a long time, as we know. That's what evolution says. And there's also the spiritual development that is starting in the non-physical, you could say outside of the non-physical, but also it is coming to the earth, which is physical, obviously. So it is coming in. What I want to understand there, does it mean that animals also have spirit and the plants also have a spirit that is part of the development?
Plants are tied to a spot. They do not have that capability of moving from one place to another, just like animals do. So it is some other entities that tend to plants in their limitations. So plants do not have souls or spirits. Animals, on the other hand, do have entities that is capable of allowing them to move from one place to another. In that particular scenario, it is the entity which is animistic that is able to grant that type of movement. And when it comes to man, which man has taken on the physical body of the animal and has improved it to its present state, that which is higher in its talents, in its features, that which is of spirit, has taken over that which the animals have done, the bodies the animals have worked on, and brought it to the present states of completion. So animals are the guiding entity within the animals, may be referred to as that of the animistic, whereas plants are only similar to homes that is able to harbor the presence of other entities because they are immovable in their locations. But man itself is of spirit, is of a spirit gem.
Thank you. Thanks, Gregory, for clarifying that. I want to return to the previous question I asked. There's one aspect we didn't look at it, or you haven't looked at that one, which is that those beliefs. Science is saying we have evolved as the human beings have come through an evolution, but then these beliefs of faiths claiming that we have been created. So, has there been any creating of a human being, or that is just wrong?
What science is referring to basically is its limitation within the species to which it belongs, and that is of gross matter. So science is perfectly right to talk of evolution. The question which one must ask, what is evolution? It's basically a development based on the substances that already exist. There's nothing wrong with that. It's always like that. That means in these substances, one can find out what the elements are, how they united. It's very clear to form bigger molecules. And until you have the cells which the human being is made of, the physical body. But science is limited to gross matter, that is in the world of matter, which has many subdivisions. That which the so-called teachings are mentioning was not basically, or is not basically, that of gross matter. It was pictures passed on to them as the beginning, as you have in the beginning of creation, which beginning is not material creation, the world of matter, which beginning has its origin in creation as a whole, which started in the spiritual realm. In that case, there is the creativity that started with that fiat which is widely quoted, "Let there be light." So, yes, there is evolution, which evolution is of gross material, which science has consistently given evidence to. And on the other hand, there is the creation or creativity, which is not of matter, but that's of the spiritual, which is what many of the teachings are referring to. So when both are examined carefully, one will find in that of the teachings, there is the creations, and there is also an evolution of that which is spirit, that which started as an unconscious spirit germ to become a conscious or self-conscious personality. That in itself, spiritually, is also an evolution, which is basically a development, an improvement, a development of the capabilities of the human personality in time.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for this answer and explanation. So there is a creation and there's also evolution, but working in let's say, as you said, over time, but in, you could say, different, maybe I can use the word planes. And we're going to explore that more in a moment. I just want to tell the listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's a Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the GRAIL message by Abdrushan. If you are interested in knowing more about the GRAIL message or want to get a copy of the GRAIL message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And you're listening to Bless Radio, as I said. We are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1.com. Also, you can listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, live stream. That's for the live show. You can listen to the recording of this show the next day, also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, GRAIL message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? Of course, you can listen to our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1. And as I mentioned, the topic we're discussing tonight is, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? If you have any questions or have any comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Now, Gregory, you mentioned, well, I mentioned it, and then you also talked about that there is evolution and there is creation, or well, we even said at the beginning, the context of our discussion is nature and creation, and that implies there is a creator. So now, some people call the creator God and or power, but then it's very hard to talk about evidence. It's very hard to prove it or to show that. And so let me ask about that, Gregory. Is it possible to find evidence of the creator, or is there a creator? Let me say like that first.
When the expression creation is mentioned, the question each personality must ask themselves, what does that really mean? Is it possible to have a creation in which power is not involved? Is it possible to have a creation in which there are no substances on that creation? Is it possible to have a creation in which arbitrariness is the rule of that creation? Will such a creation survive, prosper? Therefore, the word creation itself already in its context, provides the evidence that power, activity, all these are involved. The question now goes further. From whence? From where did that power come? Questions are meant for the individual who wishes to become aware of the activities in nature, in creation. It is only in such a manner that the person can put the evidence as to that power streams in this creation. However, to be able to provide proofs or to provide evidence, one must first look at the outermost manifestation of nature. You have here the world of matter. The same goes for proof that we have thoughts. How many people can convincingly say they can hold their thoughts in their hands? No. But they agree, they do not ask for proofs that they have thoughts. Therefore, one can go further that although many are not familiar with one's intuitive perception, there is also one's intuitive perceptions which have an impact on one's thoughts, which thoughts therefore have an impact on materials, which then control the body. The question one keeps asking, power is required for this. Where does this power come from? Each individual should strive to obtain an answer. And before long, each personality will find that order, that nature is very well ordered, that the world of matter is very well ordered, just as the other realms above the world of matter is also well ordered, which one may refer to as the animistic. And also, one can also infer that that which lies above the animistic, the world of spirits, is also very well ordered. At the source of this power radiations, which lie above creation, which lie above that which is of spirit, is of divine source. Above that is the source of all power. Whatever name they themselves care to ascribe to it is their concern.
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer and picture that you've painted there. Now, earlier on, you were talking about science working in the, let's say, world of matter, with using the five senses that we know. And then you also mentioned about and that's the limitation, because science looks at those, assesses things within these five senses. And then we also have, you could call it another sense, but not physical one, called intuition, which of course you mentioned, and that you could say works on another level, and not in the limit of science. So you could say beyond the limit of science. Now, people use these words intuition and intellect, and without knowing the, you could say, the where the area of the working, what they just say it like just a word. And now, what I want to understand, Gregory, for example, when people use the word intuition, they also use sometimes a gut feeling, and and then or you could say listening to your head or listening to your heart when you have a question about something. I'm just bringing all these things out at the moment, Gregory. So we know the human being on the earth, we have a body, we have a mind, and let's say we have a soul and we have a spirit. I'm just putting it all together as a full picture. Let's say that a human being is made of a body, mind, soul, and spirit. And and we have this intellect, and we have this intuition as a human being. So, Gregory, can you put all these things together to explain what these things are and how they work together?
It will be best to take things gradually so that many a listener is not confused by too many terms. And basically, one should bring in the different categories. The category of matter in which the human body is perceptible through the five senses, gross materially, which is tied to the five senses. And then that which is beyond the five senses. These are different category or species. That which is not of the physical body, that one may refer to as the soul. The soul, that which moves, which activates the soul, is of spirit. Spirit which is capable of becoming conscious. So from a high point, we have the spirit, which spirit is not just nebulous, but which spirit has a form. This form is only perceptible when the spirit clothes itself. And that clothing, in that clothing, one will refer to the spirit as a soul. When the soul attaches itself to the physical body, as at the time it incarnates, then you have the human body, which is perceptible to us with the five senses, five physical senses. The way the human spirit communicates is through its intuition. For the human spirit to be able to make itself known through the physical body, we have that in its activities, we have some radiations which strike within the guts, which guts are connected to the back brain, and from the back brain to the frontal brain. So it means you have an impression, an intuitive impression, which hits the solar plexus, which basically is referred to as the guts, and which then connects to the back brain, from there to the frontal brain, which frontal brain now sort of triggers an activity. That means a movement of the limb or some other thing. So that is the channel. However, when one refers to the intellect, one is only referring to activities of the frontal brain. Therein is the seat of the intellect. That is where you use to do your thinking, to coordinate a lot of the activities, your outer activities. One is referring here to the five senses of smell, of touch, of just mention all those senses of sight. They have their seats on the intellect. For these are the channels that the human's personality uses to interact externally. No other provision is made. Where the human spirit to come to the earth and has no physical body, then you yourself will not see it because you have the physical eyes. Unless you yourself, your inner eyes of the spirit are open, you will not perceive of it. More of this, one may refer many to the walk in the light of truth, the GRAIL message. Which message talks of the light? By the light, one is referring here to the radiations of life. Of the truth, one is referring here the picture of unchangeableness. The truth, which is the unchangeable framework that runs in nature, that runs in creation. Basically, that is what it is. So many who have the strong inclination to search for the truth, they themselves may strive to procure a copy of this work for personal examination. No matter what is discussed here, if the individual does not investigate by himself or herself, then the profitable knowledge that he or she may use here or hereafter will be lacking.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for your answer there. And just as Gregory mentioned, the listeners, if you are wishing to explore or discover more about life through the GRAIL message, or what is said in the GRAIL message, then you can go to this website, which is www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. Now, Gregory, we mentioned nature before and again, and want to talk about aspect of human beings. Are we human beings, Gregory, naturally good? Is that then, you could say, the inherent way of a human being to be good?
When the human personality leaves its origin, it leaves its origin in order to experience, to come across the vibrations in different parts of creation, more so the vibrations in the world of matter. And at that point, it has no karma. It is free because it has come to learn using the power of the radiations that stream out from us from on high. In that case, you find that that power is neutral. It is how they themselves use this power to experience and mature. If they themselves use this power in order to be of benefit first to themselves and subsequently to their neighborhood, such that the benefits is spread around, then that which they have decided to do is of benefit to creation, becomes one for all and all for one. If, however, the use of this power to benefit themselves only to the detriment of others in creation, then they weave a karma for themselves. That in itself is not the purpose of life. That in itself is bad.
Sorry, did you say that in itself is what? I didn't hear the last one. Once more, sorry, I didn't hear.
That in itself is bad.
Bad, yes. Okay, so yes. So thank you for that answer, Gregory. So then, why do the human beings do evil, Gregory? If we know there is a karma, or if that, there's a consequence, terrible consequence, why do the human beings do the evil?
That is a question which many ask. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse when you think you can get away with it because no one is watching. They do it. All they needed to do is to ask themselves if such were inflicted on them, will it be beneficial to them? So such questions, strictly speaking, should be directed to those who swim in evil. For if the tables were turned, how would they themselves go about it?
Thank you for that, Gregory. I've got many questions, more questions, but they're all like, let's say, varied ones. So I will just continue with that. Now, Gregory, when we have many religions and spiritual teachings out there, and when we want to understand, sometimes you use the words and you say, oh, it means literally. And other times, these are, it's a spiritual, like a picture, not to be taken literally. So what I want to ask you, how do you know which is the right one to, when you're looking at the teachings, which is the right, appropriate one, correct one, basically, to know if this is a metaphor or it's literal, the meaning of the words, or the words that are given there?
In the first case, every language paints a picture. Every picture is a pointer. Therefore, the human personality must weigh and examine, must weigh and examine with one's not only physically in deeds, but also in thoughts, and above all, in one's intuitions. To weigh already gives you this strong impression that one is heavier than the other. That in itself is gravitation. To examine only means one will have to say that which one puts out, were it to come back to me, will it bring me benefits? That which one has thrown at others, were it to come back to me, will it bring me benefit? That has to be weighed or has to be looked to physically, in thoughts, in one's intuition. So basically, what one is stressing here in this weighing and examining, these have to be done in accordance with the laws of creation through which one came into existence. So to weigh and examine, there is the examination or weighing and examination of the indeeds, in thoughts, and in one's intuition. That is the right thing to do.
Thank you so much for that answer, Gregory. I'm going to have some more questions in a moment. Dear listeners, you're listening to Blessed Radio. It's the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the GRAIL message by Abdushin. If you are interested in knowing more about the GRAIL message or want to get a copy of the GRAIL message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'm going to spell that. www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. And as I say, you're listening to Bless Radio. We are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number 1.com. I'll spell that for you. It's, sorry, not spell, it's easy to spell that one, blessradio1.com. And also we are broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search Bless Radio 1. There's number 1 again, space, live stream. That's for the live show. And you can listen to the recording of this show also on YouTube. Go to youtube.com again and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again, space, GRAIL message, space. The topic of the show, which tonight is, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? And of course, you can listen to our previous shows as well, also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1, the number 1 again. And of course, as I said, the topic is tonight, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? You can contact us with any questions or comments on our UK number, which is 079, excuse me, 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Gregory, I'm thinking there's so many questions I actually have. Let me, okay, just think. Okay, I'll start with this one for just now, but they're also varied, so it's a bit hard to think about it. Okay, let me go to this one first, Gregory. You know, I would like to ask, what is reality? What we see with our physical eyes, our imagination, our spiritual eyes? Well, how can you know what is this? What is reality?
What you yourself categorize as reality is only a manifestation of the activities within a given framework. So, if one considers the framework of the earth, gross material, the realities here are not necessarily the same thing as the realities in the non-gross material earth. For one can see that the realities here is that one is born. That means here the personality is granted to use the body or the gross material body to experience. The reality, therefore, is tied to the framework of the earth. In that particular reality, the need is there to maintain that tool that one has for experiencing, that is the physical body, in which one we need food, different types of food, just to keep it going. When the physical body is discarded, the gross material food is not necessary. So therefore, the realities outside of gross matter, which makes use of the physical body, are different. So realities are tied to a framework. So we have these manifestations in different framework. And therefore, the realities to a large extent are personal.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for that answer. And again, the picture you've painted there, we can see how deep, to understand life, there are many levels that we operate in, and we really have to appreciate that, to understand life, and to be fully, so that we know what we actually are as human beings, our abilities, and you could say the world that we operate in. What can we do in this world? In fact, Gregory, let me ask this one next. What is the purpose of us human beings, Gregory? Why are we here on this earth?
Although that question has already been answered in the case of evolution. When evolution is mentioned, There is that of spiritual evolution in which the personality, even before it becomes a personality, starting as a seed grain in spirit, needs to develop the talents which have been sown into it, allowing or permitting those talents to grow or to evolve. For these talents are hewn into it, but they must evolve. That means they must develop and therefore subsequently be used. So the purpose is to, for many, is starting from the state of unconsciousness, the state of being unaware, and developing into a state of awareness, which is synonymous with consciousness, and subsequently and finally becoming self-conscious. That means self-aware. The self means that of the spirit. Having cultivated that awareness which are of the virtues.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Now, I'm just thinking, okay, I'll just pick one question because I want to pick like a variety of questions. So, Gregory, some people are mediumistic or psychic, and you can say they have another sense there. What's so special about that to see something? Some people have that gift, extra gift, if I can say, mediumistic or psychic ability. Maybe talk with the people in the beyond. Is there anything special about these abilities?
In the way the physical body has been woven, there are times in which the blood radiation are of such fine quality that they are able to perceive of those fine vibrations. For motion itself is vibrations, and being able to, through their blood radiation, being able to perceive more than others is natural. In that perception and being able to communicate, that is what many are referring to, but to a limited extent. All this lies within the blood radiation. More of this can also be found in the walk, in the light of truth.
Thank you very much, Gregory. Now I want to go back to, you could say, knowledge of prehistoric times, where they believed or worshipped in so-called gods with a little g, in all these different civilizations of the past, let's say, and some people still do that now. I'm talking like, for example, Hindu, Greek, Roman, African, and even in the Americas, and even Aborigines. They believe in these so-called gods, and they worship them. So most probably people in the world now don't believe in that now, or accept that. So are they real, Gregory?
Hello? Repeat the question.
Yes. Okay. What I was saying is, in olden times, in old civilizations, and there are certain religions like this, like as a Hindu, Greek, Roman, uh, African, in America, the old times of civilization, they believe in these, believe and worship gods. We use that word with little g. And what I'm asking is, are these gods real?
Again, one should look out here on earth and find structures which are fixed, mountains, structures which are flowing, which is the fluids, water, the air, structures like even that of fire. Before the human spirit set foot on earth, there have been those who are involved in the preparation of the earth, in the maintenance of the earth, from out of the power that streamed from the source. That is how the world of matter came into existence, and the different developments of the celestial bodies. When it then came to the earth, there was the preparation of the earth. So those who are responsible for this preparation and maintenance, these are the beings. At the beginning of times, many a personality were able to perceive of these beings in their activities. There are the gnomes, there are those that work with the earth, those that work with fire, those that work with the wind. Depending on the gradual awareness of the people, they were able to see or to perceive with their inner eyes the activities of these beings that walk on the earth, in rivers, in the ocean, with fire, with the wind. And looking, observing these activities, perceiving of these activities, the intricate way they worked, and the perfection they brought into it, many showed them respect. For in the lack of complete understanding, they went to them to ask for help. So at the initial stages, they were in awe of these beings, of nature, and as they interacted more and more with them, they were able to perceive those other beings which stood higher than the ones nearest to them. In the fastness and the beauty of their workings, many started respecting, showing diffidence to these beings. It is these beings of nature, that many, according to their maturity, in quotes, showed such respect and to some of them worship. But as they matured from time to time, they saw beings that were higher and higher. That is how far one may go now. To complete the picture, the need is there again to examine the work in the light of truth. There, more and more will be found. For discussions like this, paint a picture. And like one has stressed, Every picture is a pointer. So the language we strive to speak here is a pointer to the work, which work itself is a pointer.
Thank you very much again, Gregory, for this answer and the explanation you've given there. Yes, as Gregory saying, listeners, we are giving you, I'm asking varied questions just to, you can say, touch upon all the different, not all, many aspects of life that have been given in more detail in the GRAIL message. So we're giving you like a taste of what is in this explained in the GRAIL message about life. Let me say like that. Now, let me think. Okay. What I will do, yes, Gregory, you know, in the GRAIL message, in the foreword, which we read every end of every show, it says at the beginning of the first line, belief must become conviction. So what is Abdushin saying to us there? Belief must become conviction.
There is what many refer to as belief, which is a teaching of things which have been taken without examination. Without examination, things are just assumed. To become conviction means that one has to, through his or her activities, to provide evidence of activities in deeds, in thoughts, and in intuition. Once these activities permeate one's intuition, these activities also permeate one's thoughts and one's deed, then that which one has taken as a belief, all that is wrong is thrown away, because that is a process of examination. Therefore, one knows of it. It's not a matter of one believes as such. For you yourself can only know something when you have experienced it in deeds, in thoughts, and in intuition. Else, if one of these is lacking, the tendency is then that when questioned in thoughts, the consistency of those thoughts, you lack the necessary experience to substantiate it. The same thing goes for the intuition. Therefore, belief must become conviction when knowledge is discussed.
Thank you for that, Gregory. Actually, I got a comment from a listener a while ago, but it's more relevant to say it now. So this is what I'm going to read out from the listener. It says, for belief to become conviction, one's own lived experience of realities or evidences of truth must be lived in one form or another, to my understanding. Seeking evidence of truth to make it one's own is, I believe, an inherent attribute of the human spirit, longing to expand its conscious knowledge of the creation in which it is journeying and the origin of all life and light. I think it's quite a lot in there, so I'm just going to say it again. For belief to become conviction, one's own lived experience of the realities or evidences of truth needs must be lived in one form or another, to my understanding. Seeking evidence of truth to make it one's own is, I believe, an inherent attribute of a human spirit, longing to expand its conscious knowledge of the creation in which it is journeying and the origin of all life and light. So thank you for that, listener. I thought this was the appropriate moment to say that, read it out. Now, Gregory, there was a mention there about experiencing. Now, I'm wondering, Gregory, so they say experience is the best teacher. So, but the thing is, can really know everything through experience? You can't experience everything, surely.
Once it is said experience is the best teacher, experience within the context of deeds, of thoughts, and of intuition. That is what the reference experience that is meant.
Right. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, I was going to say when people have different experiences, but that is what each person needs individual experiencing. Is that what you're saying?
What is stressed here is the personality in experiencing. What is referred to is the reference to experiencing in deeds, experiencing in thoughts, experiencing in one's intuition, all in accordance with the laws through which they themselves came into existence.
Thank you so much for that answer, Gregory. We've come to the end of the show, listeners. Hope you enjoyed the discussion on the topic of, do we need evidence to discover the truths of life? And as usual, I like to read from the foreword of the GRAIL message, which is titled, For Your Guidance. The bandage falls, and belief becomes conviction. Liberation and redemption lie only in conviction. I am addressing earnest seekers only. They must be able and willing to examine this matter objectively. Religious fanatics and irresponsible enthusiasts may hold aloof, for they are detrimental to the truth. As for the malevolent and prejudiced, they shall find their sentence in the very words. The message will strike only those who still carry within them a spark of truth and the yearning to be true human beings. To all such it will become the shining light and staff. It will lead them unswervingly out of all the chaos of the present day confusion. The following word does not bring a new religion, but is intended as the torch to help all serious listeners or readers find the right path, which leads them to the longed for height. Only he who bestirs himself can advance spiritually. The fool who uses extraneous aids for this, in the form of ready-made opinions of others, only walks his path as if on crutches, while ignoring his own healthy limbs. But the moment he boldly uses all the abilities which lie dormant within him, awaiting his call to help in his ascent, he is employing the talent entrusted to him in accordance with his Creator's will, and will easily overcome all obstacles that seek to divert him. Therefore, awake. Genuine faith lies only in conviction, and conviction comes solely through an inflexible weighing and examining. See that you are truly alive in the wonderful creation of your God. Uprushin. Dear listeners, just to remind you, if you are interested in knowing more about the GRAIL message or want to get a copy of the GRAIL message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, G-R-A-I-L, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, would you like to say anything to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing them a beautiful week.
Thank you for that. And same from me, listeners. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be back as usual next Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time, with another topic. I wish you a great week. God bless. Good night.